Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we're talking about Serenity in Murder and their new album, Reborn. And hey, if you'd like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Serenity in Murder is a melodic death metal band based out of Tokyo, Japan, and if you ask me, they're one of the best modern bands in the genre. I first caught wind of them back in 2015 with the Highest Of Dystopia, but it was with 2017's The Eclipse where they truly cemented their status as one of the best and most underrated melodic death metal groups around. Perhaps most akin to groups like Dark Tranquillity and Insomnium, Serenity in Murder combine memorable guitar riffs with a variety of styles alongside synth and keys for a listen that is both highly atmospheric and often quite catchy at the same time. The appropriately titled Reborn finds the band only further expanding on their sound in a number of areas, and also the first to feature new vocalist Ayumu. Her different approach to vocals was apparent from the first singles, and I have to say, I'm into it. While I enjoyed Emi's work on the previous albums, Ayumu brings a little bit more extremity to her delivery, retching out every syllable like a more blackened take on arch-enemy's Angela Gossow. But the lineup shift is honestly the least notable of Serenity in Murder's stylistic changes on this album. Speaking of arch-enemy, there are similarly a number of thrash-infused melodeath moments over the course of Reborn that make for some of the band's heaviest tracks to date. The first and most obvious song in this style is single Plead For Your Life, which after the sound of revving engines really does kick into high gear with chugging grooves that would also be right at home on a Lamb of God record. And as if that wasn't enough of a head-turner already, my jaw simply dropped when soon after the band goes full symphonic death metal later on with strings, keys, and epic harmonized guitar melodies for an explosive second half that fans would welcome with open arms at a Flesh God Apocalypse concert. I was already stoked to hear another album from this crew just based on the strength of their previous output, but it was with this song that really the hype got going for me, and it remains among my favorites for good reason. Sea of Stars was another very strong single to promo the album with, showcasing all of Serenity in Murder's best qualities I've come to know and love over the past 5 years. This is another very mid-career Dark Tranquillity sounding track with even a touch of As I Lay Dying coming through in some of the palm-muted hooks. Again, it makes for the perfect balance of earworm shredding fury with synth atmosphere that seems to take you drifting into the clouds. A powerful yin and yang of aggression and meditation. And the same holds true for Reborn when taken as a whole. It's light and dark elements pushing back and forth on each other constantly, only to ultimately find a strange harmony. Leaves Burned to Ashes and The Black Sun are other great examples of this, with their no-holds-barred chuggy riffs contrasting with the much more expansive melodic directions later on. Not to mention the very early In Flames sounding acoustic hook thrown in for good measure on the former. All of this ultimately culminating in the massive closing number, The Four Seasons, which despite being almost fully instrumental is a breathtaking orchestral journey worthy of Carnegie Hall. It's a powerful, emotionally engaging arrangement, every bit on par with tracks like Equilibrium's Mana. I could think of no better way for Serenity in Murder to close out the album while also further demonstrating their broad abilities as performers and songwriters. So from the fiery, shredding solos to soaring synths, Reborn is yet another incredible entry for the band's discography and just the fire that this once great genre needs to stay alive. Furthermore, it's likely the band's most diverse and accomplished outing so far, with plenty of range to complement the band's already proven track record. I give it a 10 for enjoyability. No bad tracks, not even really any mediocre ones, honestly. This is a very tight 42-minute record brimming with replayability. I give it a 9 for musicianship. Again, both the songwriting and performances from all members on this album are in top form. I'd be interested to hear maybe a few more even kind of technical elements thrown in as well in the future, but for the genre, that was my big gateway into much heavier music. This stands tall with the classics. And I give it an 8 for innovation. Another case of an album that may not be the most unique of its kind, but with enough major strides forward and new tricks from the band that they warrant that extra attention. So a 9 overall and an A- for Serenity in Murder and Reborn. Get it right now on Bandcamp. Y'all, thanks as always for watching, and let me know down in the comments what did you think of this album. And I love melodic death metal, y'all, as you can probably tell from the shirt. Let's have a conversation about that. What's your favorite melodic death metal album, band? Check out my melodic death metal band tier list. I also have tier lists for Dark Tranquillity. I have another one, big one, coming up real soon that you should stick around for. And then, of course, more full album reviews, interviews with bands on the podcast. Plenty of reasons to subscribe if you have not already. You can also chat with us on the Discord and support me on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.